Hey, this is Sam Black with my first match with Abzan Procession in Standard, and I have a pretty good hand here. I don't have a way to trigger Revolt on Hidden Stockpile, but I do have two Hidden Stockpiles, which are kind of my most important engine piece to get everything going. I have a lot of cards that will let me do something good from here, and I have Anointed Procession, which is the card my deck is built around, and certainly really awesome when I already have two hidden stockpiles to double up. So, good start. I'm just hoping to draw something like a Thrabin Inspector or Evolving Wilds to get the hidden stockpiles going, and to not draw any green cards until I draw green mana, which is why Evolving Wilds would really be the perfect draw. It would let me get the ball rolling on these hidden stockpiles. I could play the second hidden stockpile on turn 3 and play Evolving Wilds and sacrifice it to get 2 tokens, and then everything would be presumably pretty smooth sailing from there. So the other consideration here is I have to decide if I want to play Shambling Vent or Concealed Courtyard to be able to Fatal Push something that my opponent plays on turn 1. I don't know what my opponent's playing. The only creatures in the format, well, the only likely creatures that I'd want to Fatal Push on turn 1 are Toolcraft Exemplar and Crypt Breaker. There's a chance if my opponent was playing humans or something that I'd want to Fatal Push something like a Town Gossipmonger, but I think the odds that my opponent plays something that I want to Fatal Push are low enough here that it's better to just get the tapped land out of the way. Alright, yep, and so I was rewarded for that decision, and I get to get the first hidden stockpile down. Wow, I don't know if I've ever had 3 hidden stockpiles this early. This will either be really good or really bad if I can't find some way to trigger Revolt. Okay, well that'll trigger Revolt. So I'm going to play Hidden Stockpile, and then ideally my opponent will Spell Queller it, and then I'll play Evolving Wilds and sack it for a forest, Fatal Push the Spell Queller, and trigger 3 Hidden Stockpiles. Everything is going according to plan. So obviously I'm going to get my forest here. Cast Fatal Push on the Spell Queller. Cast my Hidden Stockpile. Get 3 servos. And now, next turn I can play my last land, cast Anointed Procession, sack a servo to scry, and then get 6 more servos, assuming Anointed Procession resolves. Okay, so that's all gonna go according to plan, and I am gonna sack a servo, but I'm gonna sack a servo after it's blocked because I want to get damage in on Gideon. So I'm basically losing 1 servo to deal 1 damage to Gideon, compared to just sacrificing a servo to scry and not attacking. And I think that that's a fine trade. It stops Gideon from embleming, and Gideon's not a big threat, really, in any mode. Oh, and my opponent's just going to take it. Okay, well that's even better. I wonder if my opponent was trying to avoid triggering Revolt, not realizing that I can just pay a mana to trigger Revolt. I don't need Sacred Cat at this point. I have plenty of creatures to keep the engine working, so I'm just looking for more engine things, which Sacred Cat is not. I have to decide if I want to sacrifice something in my upkeep to scry, which I likely do, because with 8 attackers I'll be able to kill Gideon, and I don't really need this many attackers, and I'd like to draw something good. Although, I guess it's not like I have to sacrifice something at all. I also don't need to draw anything in particular here. No, I'm fine just drawing a card. Okay, that's not bad. So we're going to send all these at Gideon. And now presumably, I guess I didn't need to attack with this many of them, but I mean, I wouldn't be able to get damage through anyway because my opponent would just block the ones that were doing damage, and I don't need the blockers. So here, I don't really expect Armandal to do anything. Like, I suspect that my opponent will be able to answer Armandal, but I don't really care if they do, and if they can't, then it'll easily win the game. So since I'm going to be losing 4 creatures here anyway, I figure I might as well just lose a 5th and try to make a demon. And of course, since I'm making so many creatures, I'm not in any way all in on Armandal. It's just an extra thing that's threatening my opponent, while really it's the hidden stockpiles and the procession that I think are sufficient to win this game. So now, now I think I do want to scry in my upkeep. A single token represents such a small portion of my real threat here. I really have no use for a Fatal Push. I'm going to put that on the bottom. And I am just going to draw here. I want plenty of mana to sacrifice the tokens that are blocked to scry a bunch without throwing away extra resources. I suspect Avacyn's coming down. That's fine. I wanted to sacrifice a lot of these tokens to scry anyway. And I still get a bunch of life gain from Armandal. And I still have, you know, plenty of blockers from the 6 new tokens I'm making. Backup Armandal is not terrible. Yeah, this seems about as good as anything else. So now I'll just let combat resolve and play a Sacred Cat and pass the turn. Okay, so my opponent can flip Westvale this turn if they want, but that would not flip Avacyn, and I assume they're going to try to flip Avacyn. We'll see, though. I don't particularly care if really about anything. Okay, so Spell Queller is going to make Avacyn flip, which is going to kill all my creatures, which is fine. I guess I kind of might as well scry a little now, though I can just scry when Avacyn flips and kills these other 6. Really doesn't matter one way or another, unless I think that I'm likely to want to activate Westvale Abbey to make creatures, which is kind of nice actually, because it gives me things to have. Yeah, I think I'm only gonna, well, ideally I'd like to only scry once, but let's scry once and see what's going on. Cryptolith, right? I really do have plenty of mana, even though I have Westvale Abbey. Although it does help with scrying and activating Westvale. Yeah, I can probably use this. This is fine. Because I don't really want to scry a lot here, because I want to activate Westvale anyway, so I'll just let that stuff die. And I'll draw a Cryptolith because it's fine. So we're going to make a bunch of creatures, Avacyn's going to kill them all. So I'm obviously not bringing back the cat, because Abzan would just kill it. What does that accomplish? Doesn't this does 3 to every creature, so Avacyn's just going to kill it? I don't really understand. Maybe my opponent's going to flash in another Avacyn? Oh, sacrificed Westvale Abbey. Yeah, that makes sense. So then my opponent will have Avacyn and their own Ormondal. Yeah, since all those creatures were going to die anyway. That makes a lot of sense. So this still doesn't seem like enough of a clock that I really care about it. So all my creatures die. My opponent can attack with whatever they feel like. I'll make some tokens. Alright, I guess those triggers from last turn from sacking all the things are still happening. My opponent's gonna cycle at a very arbitrary time. I'm gonna draw the Cryptothrite that I knew about. I'm gonna play it. Then I'm gonna tap this for a mana, sacrifice it to scry. Definitely don't need another one. Then I'm going to attack with Ormondal. Make 6 more creatures and pass the turn. Opponent plays Gisela and Thalia. That's all fine. So now my opponent attacks with Avacyn. If I want to, I can trade Ormondal for Avacyn here by activating Westvale Abbey, sacrificing these things, and blocking. But I have to give up a bunch of creatures and mana also, so it's probably not. I guess really what I can do, I guess I'm trading Westvale Abbey and 5 creatures for Avacyn. That doesn't sound like a great trade. So I'm just going to activate Westvale Abbey to make more creatures. And then in my upkeep, I'm going to tap this. I'm going to scry a lot in my upkeep. Well, scry until I find something I want. This does not count. I've already triggered Revolt. That doesn't do anything. That's not bad. But I think I really want an Anointer Priest. Or another Procession. That's pretty good. It just draws more cards. But it costs quite a bit of mana to scry and then draw the cards that I need specifically. But I do have a lot of mana. Alright, we can try this. So, I'm just going to go straight to scrying again, I think. It's weird to spend 1 mana to... It's really weird to spend 1 mana to draw, or to scry instead of 2 mana to draw a card. I guess it's worth spending the extra mana and drawing the card. So I'll play this. Sacrifice at least the first clue. Alright, that's fine. I've already scryed a bunch though, so I don't really want to sacrifice that right now. I think I'm going to scry a little bit more. I'd really like to find a priest. More Thrabban Inspectors. Alright, we'll try it. Top. Sacrifice a clue. We're not going to activate West Vale Abbey this turn. Play Thrabban Inspector. And I guess this is basically the end of what I get to do this turn. Alright, well, now I have an untapped land. So I guess I can sacrifice one more clue to try to find the thing, or I could just pass. Let's see. If I attack, my opponent can hit me for 19 in the air. I don't want my opponent to kill Armandal and then hit me. That's the way that I would lose. So I think I should just attack with Armandal to gain life here. I guess I can't really block on the ground anyway, so I might as well sacrifice this clue. Okay. I shouldn't forget about the Sacred Cat. Although, I'd rather get another procession down, if I could. Emblem, that's 3 more damage, that's still not lethal. Obviously, I'll trump block Thalia and Scry. Opponent's thinking about the futility of attacking with Thalia, I think. It doesn't matter much one way or another whether they do or not. They decide to. Let's see. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I think I can just make an emblem and attack with everything, and then sacrifice Armandal after my opponent blocks it with Armandal. Oh, it's not quite lethal, probably because of Gisela, although I could activate Shambling Vent and play Gideon, so maybe it is. I probably want to be sure that this is good enough. Okay, so I'm pretty sure this is 6 servos. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 creatures getting through. That's 24, 25 damage. My opponent's going to be at 24. Oh, but I won't have a mana left over to sacrifice Ormondal if I attack with everything, which means that I think it's actually not lethal, which means that I think it's not worth going for, which means that I don't want Gideon. It's kind of weird. Okay, upkeep. Scry some more. Oh, I can get rid of my opponent's Ormondal. That's not bad. That lets me get a lot of damage in. I go to 11, I go up to 20. My opponent would have considerably less than 20 power. It's annoying if they counter this, but it's kind of annoying if they counter anything. So this is probably fine. Okay, so I'd like to gain some more life. These ground creatures are better off just being used for mana. Let's play this, and let's make some cats, I suppose. Okay, my opponent just realized that they're not really making any progress. So, what do I want against a bunch of flyers? I think Grasp was pretty good here. It's a good answer to Avacyn. Fatal Push is certainly worse than Grasp, but it's probably not bad. I think Gideon's pretty bad. They're very good at attacking it. One Anguished Unmaking wasn't terrible. I wouldn't want more than that. I don't think I want Fumigate because it's terrible against Avacyn. Elvenwald Mysteries sounds fun, but it's probably not actually good enough since my opponent's kind of more proactive than would make me want that card. So I think this is just the sideboarding. Just bring in Grasps for Gideons, and then because I'm cutting a double white card and adding a double black card, I'm going to cut up Plains for a swamp. So it never really felt like my opponent was in that game after that early Spell Queller turn, but my draw was really good. I just had a bunch of stockpiles early, which is what this deck's looking for, I'm going to keep this hand. It's mana heavy, but it has a stockpile. It's really hard to mulligan a hand with a hidden stockpile in this deck. Attacking it would obviously be great for me if my opponent blocked there, because I would just immediately get a servo from the stockpile. Having two hidden stockpiles both games just doesn't even feel fair. Censor. Negate. Okay. Well, I still want my Revolt. And it doesn't really matter what land I get. I'm almost certainly playing Fortified Village next turn no matter what, which will give me green. I don't know, I'll just get the other swamp since I have the Grasp, and maybe I'll draw a push and want to cast both of them or something. So I could Grasp the Knight and attack Gideon, but that's not really impressive. I think it's better to Fortified Village, Reveal Plains, Catacomb Sifter, attack Gideon with both of my things, and now I'm going to get to scry twice with the thing that gets blocked, and then make a servo. Want a Fatal Push? Not really. No, I still don't. Let's get rid of Gisela, and let's play another Catacomb Sifter. And then I think everything can attack Gideon. And this will kill Gideon unless my opponent wants to chump block here. Okay, so like trading a knight for Sifter kills Gideon, but my opponent can essentially trade an ally for a Scion if they recognize that Scions are better than servos. Okay, they're just going to kill a Catacomb Sifter, lose a knight, and lose Gideon. That's all fine. I'm going to try to do better. If I didn't expect to be triggering Revolt every turn through combat or sacrificing this clue, I'd be more interested in Threadman Inspector to trigger Revolt, but I don't think I need it. This is a spot where it's kind of exactly on the line on whether I want to sack something in my upkeep to scry. I think because it's a double scry because of Catacomb Sifter, it's probably worth it. It's pretty hard to turn that down. really don't want to lose Catacomb Sifter to Avacyn. I don't think there's a lot of reason to attack here. Let's just play a Procession. Play my land. And just pass the turn. Pull for 4. Well, that's actually a lot less scary than Avacyn. At this point, I'm going to win unless my opponent can kill me pretty quickly, I believe. So, I'm basically just trying to find a priest before my opponent kills me with flyers. Well, find and resolve a priest, I guess, might potentially be the hard part. I am going to scry my upkeep again. Yeah, probably want that. It just makes everything else that happens for the rest of the game so much better. On the stockpile? Yeah. Oh, that's annoying. I want to scry. I don't need this if I don't have stockpile, I suppose. Seriously? They were just all right next to each other. Time is obviously getting to be a factor. Haven't really played this deck while talking through it before. Alright. That wasn't good. So I'm not likely to win this game. I guess I probably need to lose horribly to Bruna. I want to sacrifice an Eldrazi Scion to scry, but I kind of think that my best chance is Westvale, except that if I sack Clue to draw Westvale, I don't have enough mana left to flip it. I'm not really sure how I can beat Brizella. There's an Anointer Priest, but I can't cast it. I'm dead here. Well, hope I don't get Brazil'd again. Don't have a ton of time, which kind of makes me want Gideon, I suppose. Oh. Alright, so what happened there is that my opponent said that their record is 1-3, and so they just wanted to concede to me. So, unfortunately, there's not a game 3, but saw a lot of magic there, and there's still plenty more matches to play. So, unfortunately, we don't get to see how that last game would have gone, but that was nice of my opponent.